word to the wise, this video may contain a lot of foul language, we shall see. Cause I saw a video of England's favourite git, Piers Morgan. Apparently he's still salty Meghan Markle is returning a score, so he has a grudge against the Yanks. Who the hell knows? But anyway, he said this and my rage just went into high gear overdrive.
And yet the #1 killer of children now in America is guns. America will not regulate guns like they regulate chocolate eggs.
The #1 killer.
And I simply ask, why?
Piers, you toffee-nosed twat, would you care to enlighten me? Do please satiate my raging desire for details beyond your limp wrist at surface peddling, why don't you? Where in the country is the bulk of this taking place, and which demographic? Of course, we all know which demographic.
Nobody wants to go there because there's a bunch of niggas killing everybody.
Thank you, Kevin. But no, we have Chicago's mayor, Lightfoot with a penis 2.0, now not improved, coming out and saying 50 people shot over a weekend is because of poverty? Like the twins pointed out in that video, there's other places in Yankee Land that are not as fiscally sound, and yet they mysteriously don't have any of these problems. Could there possibly be a scientific explanation for this kind of behavior? Indeed there is, but no one is going to touch it with a 10-foot pole because apparently doing so would invoke the specter of a certain whimsical Austrian man. Oh, but when it's someone 6'2", barn door wide shoulders with an Adam's apple like they swallowed a pissed off freaking hornet, apparently we can conjure up all kinds of scientific BS-ery to justify why I have to refer to that thing as Sally, otherwise I'm an asshole. Is it any wonder why we have problems with depression and mental illness? Geez, I can't figure out why. Has anybody else noticed damn near every ill in our modern society, political bodies seem to think can be solved by bureaucracy and legislation, when the bulk of these problems come from bureaucracy and fucking legislation? And this stupidity even extends beyond our own borders. Look at the way the West is handling Russia. Anyone that dares have the temerity to practice a bit of diplomacy and even tries to understand the NATO expansion perspective from Russia's angle is branded a Putin simp, even though this was warned about 30 years ago by America's own statesmen when Russia was under Boris Yeltsin. Putin wasn't even in power. And then the press wonders, why are people pro-Russia? Could it possibly be because when America is in economic freefall and going to hell in every conceivable way, its citizens might frown and ask, why on earth is it dumping billions of dollars into one of the most corrupt countries in all of Europe?
Free or die.
Free or die.
Now you are free.
Yes.
And we will be.
And the Russians are dying.
It's the best money we've ever spent.
Ah yes, never mind the Ukrainians who are dying or misplaced. No, the American regime needs to spend taxpayer dollars to kill Russians. Could it be moments like this that make people think the American empire is just straight frickin' evil, trying to deplatform Russia, kicking them off the SWIFT banking system, blowing up an energy pipeline, half of which is owned by nations America bizarrely calls its allies? You know, there is a reason why Kissinger said it may be dangerous to be America's enemy, but to be America's friend is fatal, or that it has no permanent friends or enemies, only interests. Which you can clearly see is the case because it claims Putin's autocracy is a problem. Allies, on the other hand, like Singapore and Japan, have had virtually single-party rules since the end of the Second World War. Hell, the petrodollar was established with the Saudis to protect their regime. Ah, but the former is now a problem, whereas the latter is not. They have no morals or principles whatsoever. Like Kissinger says, only interests. But I'm supposed to hate Russia now, right? Why? Because they want to sell us grain, fertilizer, and energy? Ooh, what a bunch of assholes they are. Get fucked, I'll take my chances with the Ruskies. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Stop thinking the inhabitants of the American regime is aligned with the principles and morals of America's founding fathers. They are not. Look at their actions. They are typical democratic politicians of the modern world who crave money and power. No more, no less. There is nothing exceptional about these Americans whatsoever. Now brace yourselves, people, because I'm about to do something truly horrifying. I am going to defend China, TikTok, and the CCP, and you're all going to agree with me because I make good points. If you look at the manner in which the American regime behaves, and has behaved for decades, because the unipolar world order is shifting, it's behaving erratically, throwing its weight around, and still thinks the rest of the world doesn't notice any of this. China is still a developing nation, comparatively speaking, of course. So when it's looking at America's actions, its suicidal would-be Green Revolution BS, its assholish lack of mannerisms and crumbling weakness, not to mention its insane BS like America will be at war with China in 2025. Is it any wonder then why China, a glorified corporation, is looking at energy-rich neighbor Russia and deciding it wants to further its ties with them? Come on, no sane person thinks China is going to head-on militarily engage the Americans. They have nothing to gain by doing any of that. Why do you think the American regime is trying to propagandize you with this mythical threat of China? That's to get justification for the regime trying to antagonize China, not the other way around. Why do you think China is trying to bolster its prowess economically? Because that's the one arena where they might best the Americans. China doesn't want to freaking overthrow you, for heaven's sake. They love wealth, they just want to make money. It's the same thing with their influence in the government apparatus. Again, it's always somebody else's fault. It's not because democracy is a piss poor, highly corruptible system of government for sale to the highest bidder, including foreign powers. Oh, no. It is the fault of China for some reason that Western democracies are filled with morally bankrupt cowards who are weak in the face of temptation. You can't fault China for exploiting that weakness. They're smart, the West is stupid. Same thing with TikTok. Let me ask you all a question. How many of you can think of, say, products or groups or whatever else, and you hate them more for who they're associated with rather than anything else? Probably all of you, right? Kind of reminds me of this drug chart over here. It's very accurate. I too associate Coke with the 1980s and Scarface, much the same way I associate shitty techno music with pill-popping faggots, or how we associate BMW with arrogant asshole drivers. Look at TikTok's demographics. 1 in 4 users are under 20. More Gen Z users than Instagram. Largest portion of its user base, 25%, is 10 to 19 years old. No wonder the platform has a bad reputation. It's associated with the stupidest demographic. This bullshit of, oh, it's making youth OD on dopamine, oh, the culture is degenerate. Rubbish! The culture's been cratering towards degeneracy for freaking ages, long before TikTok was invented. All TikTok does is give people a platform to abuse the excesses of the crappy culture in short burst form, should they choose to engage. That it's largely used by a disaffected, stupid generation, poorly raised in a tech era, is not the fault of the app. The fact that they choose voluntarily to waste their time on this degenerate bullshit, meanwhile the Chinese version looks a lot more wholesome, all that means is the Chinese were smart enough to look at your hedonistic material world values and produce something that allows you to overdose on it. Again, not the fault of the app. The app is working exceedingly well, in fact, because that's what it's designed to do. When YouTube started pushing the shorts, everyone knew this move was designed to compete with TikTok. Did anyone say, ooh, the format is dangerous and screwing with people's minds and attention spans? No one said shit, because all they care about is making money. All this bullshit about, ooh, privacy and data sharing, give me a freaking break. When it was discovered that synth at Facebook was selling data to China, did anyone float the idea of Patriot Act 2.0? No. So why they pull for it now? Makes you think, doesn't it? The fact of the matter is simply this. For all of their talk of capitalism and markets and competition, the American empire was bested by a superior Chinese product, and they're still salty as hell about it. Simple as that. But no, we can't discuss any of that kind of stuff. Hey look, the gun violence is apparently rising. Should we have a discussion about mental health, Big Pharma, or why anyone would do something so insane? Nah, let's just get rid of the guns. Holy Moses, people are fat as hell these days. What are we gonna do about it? Simple, call anyone fatphobic if they refuse to find sea lions attractive. Should we be concerned about the fact that men are dressed up in spiritual war paint throwing a hissy bitch fit over being unable to gyrate around prepubescent children? Nah, it'll be fine. The one bloody thing a state is supposed to do, it can't be asked doing. Can we have a discussion about multiculturalism causing conflict as thousands of people of questionable morals flood the West, causing a loss of identity and a lack of Christianity is tearing itself to pieces? Christianity, that's some outdated nonsense, so saith the nun dressed in fucking drag. Or, here's a novel idea. How about you stop looking at the state to overcorrect the excesses of this pathetic freedom above all civilization and practice a bit of self-discipline, you lazy ass sack of shit.
Because most people are trained to think in dichotomies. They can only think of us versus them, black and white. They're not capable of thinking in any other way. They've been run through the propagandistic public schooling system usually. So they think if boycotters do bad thing, boycotted thing must be good. It's caveman logic. This is 90% of the population's way of thinking. Maybe that's why these people keep self-destructing so bad. The liberals can do it, the conservatives get jealous. They start winning too much, they get scared. Give me a fucking break, Jesus Christ. That's about all.
Peace out.